Hi, I'm Alison O'Keefe from WHSmith North America Media Network, powered by SMG, and you're listening to the CPG Guys podcast.
Welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. Your hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage consumers in an increasingly digitally driven world. And now, here are the CPG Guys. Hello and welcome to the CPG Guys podcast. I'm PVSB, co-host and co-founder. I also serve as head of industry and client engagement at Flywheel, the e-commerce accelerator division of Omnicom. My co-founder and co-host is, of course, the chief revenue officer at Think Blue Consulting. He's the patriarch of the Raj family media empire between his daughters, Rhea and Laura, who are certified pop stars, and his wife, Kavita, who has her own podcast on iHeartMedia called Lights, Camera, Conversation, and his three cats that frankly have more Instagram followers than the CPG Guys. It is a true media empire. Most recently, he served as the chief customer officer at General Mills. He's the man known as Shri. He's unable to join us for today's recording, so I am managing the hosting responsibilities myself. As we record today's episode, we're less than 2 weeks away from Shop Talk. Shri and I will be together in Las Vegas at our big kickoff party on Monday, and we'll be recording episodes and conducting meetings over the 3-day event. If you're planning to be at Shop Talk and you see us loitering around Mandalay Bay, please come up and introduce yourselves. We love meeting our industry contemporaries and followers of our podcast. Before we introduce our guest, a few housekeeping details. Please make sure you're subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform by clicking the follow option. And if you listen to us on Apple or Spotify in particular, please leave us a rating, because it helps feed the algorithm that makes this podcast more discoverable by people like you who in this industry want to be both educated and entertained. When you're doing that, also write us a little review so we can tailor the content of this podcast to your interest. We do want to be an audience-driven podcast, and it's important that we hear what you're looking for us to talk about. And we'll remind you that today's episode is part of our Women's Month series, where each guest this month is an accomplished leader in our industry. So let's get to our special guest today. Over the past 5 years, retail media has been the fastest growing channel within the media industry. Seemingly every week, a new RMN is launched, offering brands many more ways to connect with consumers in a closed-loop marketing system. One such new entrance is let me restart that, Brandon. One such new entrant is from a name very familiar to book lovers and travelers of all kinds. WHSmith, which operates 350-plus stores in North America travel hubs, including airports, rail stations, and resorts, has launched a new media network. The stated goal of the WHSmith North America Media Network is not about overwhelming consumers with advertising. It's really about building memorable brand experiences that drive sales and build loyalty. Here to help us understand how brands are able to create memorable experiences through their network is my friend Alison O'Keefe. She's the partnership director for WHSmith North America Media Network. Alison, greetings. Welcome to the CPG Guys.
Hey, Peter, thanks so much for having me.
We are very happy to have you. You know, you and I have known each other for a couple of years. We tend to frequent a lot of the same industry trade shows. And I was so excited when I saw that you were launching this new media network, and it's in partnership with SMG. I can't wait to learn more about this. Before we get to the questions that we have prepared, why don't you tell our audience about both WHSmith and SMG, which is powering the network?
Yeah, happy to. So WHS Media is the first ever in-store travel retail media network that connects brands with their customers in travel hubs across North America. We're using an in-store first approach to reach the over 900 million customers that go through airports every year. And really our overarching goal is to bring the fun back to travel retail. And we can talk a little bit more about that. And then SMG. So SMG is powering the WHSmith Media Network. It's a global connected commerce agency that's been empowering retailers for over 16 years to run profitable commerce media networks through consultancy, in-house solutions, and proprietary tech platforms. SMG currently runs 7 different retail media networks that span the grocery vertical, department stores, drugs, and now, of course, travel.
Thank you for that, Alison. That's really terrific. A very succinct yet comprehensive description of what these two businesses are. So we're going to direct our audience to the digital liner notes of this episode, where they can find a link to your LinkedIn profile, the LinkedIn pages of both WHSmith and SMG, and of course the website for the WHSmith Media Network. So let's get on with our conversation. I've prepared a bunch of questions, and I'm looking to hopefully answer what a lot of our audience is hoping to learn about this new venture. So let's talk more at a very high level. What are some of the biggest challenges brands face when trying to engage consumers in travel hubs? Because you've indicated a very large number of people are going through these venues at a very fast pace. What do brands face if they want to try and harness these kinds of venues to talk to consumers?
Yeah, I think, prior to WHS Media coming into the space, the big challenge for brands is going to be just how many different things are kind of vying for customers' attention in airports. I mean, we all are in airports, you probably more than most people. And, there's, like I said, tons of people, there's tons of different screens and different things that they're focusing on. And so I think in the past, the challenge for brands was how do we cut through all of that clutter? And I think that was one of the things that really prompted WHS Media to kind of step into the space, because we're able to sort of take the full travel experience from planning to actually going in through your gate to actually being in store, and make sure that we're sending out like a cohesive omni-channel message that really is going to help brands cut through all of that clutter.
So then how do you see the role of physical retail evolving in this increasingly digital-driven advertising landscape?
Yeah, I think, being in the retail media space for many years, it's just been digital first, right? In America, that's what we focused on. We focused on property, and then, taking that first party audience and going off property, but it's all centered around digital. And so I think that's why it's so exciting for me with WHS Media is to really be focused and in store. I mean, we know that over 90% of purchases are still happening in store. And so I think, we're already seeing some of the larger retail media networks start to fold the in-store landscape underneath the retail media network umbrella. I think we're just going to continue to see that. But it isn't the easiest thing to do, right? You're kind of separating two pieces of business that have been kind of operating separately for so long. So we feel like we're really in a good space to be able to enter the market with that already completed and be able to really focus on the in-store piece where the people are actually making their purchases.
So Alison, tell me why WHSmith chose to partner with SMG in launching this media platform.
Yeah, so SMG as a business started over in the UK. And I think it's pretty well known in our industry that UK and just Europe as a whole is much further along when it comes to sort of the in-store space. And so a lot of the retail media networks that they run and have run in the past have been also in-store first networks. And so they just bring a wealth of knowledge when it comes to that space that they're able to translate into, really exciting and fast-paced entrance into the market for WHSmith. And then we're really able to benchmark and have amazing results for the brands that we work with, kind of just hit the ground running. As they say, SMG moved over into the American market about 2 years ago. And so, yeah.
That's brilliant. So how does WHSmith seek to differentiate its media network from other networks that are in the travel space or in adjacent spaces? What do you see as being superior in terms of its offering?
So when you look at the other partners in the travel space, I think around 2022, we started to see Marriott Travel Network. We saw Uber and Lyft, and now we've got United Airlines. And they're also all really digital first travel networks. And again, that, WHSmith really has that broad in-store footprint that we're really able to leverage for all of our brands. But I think that the travel network space is really unique in the sense that, it's different from the grocery industry where they're all competitors. I really think there's an interesting opportunity here across the travel retail media network space to kind of partner WHSmith as it stands sort of reaches, has the most access to the most touch points, right? So I kind of talked about the planning phase, the trips to the airport, being in the airport, and then being at the point of purchase. But if we have these other partners that could even expand that even further to in-flight, I think that there's just a lot of really great partnerships that could happen in that space. So it's exciting. We'll have to see what happens.
All right. So why don't we go through what are the core solutions that you're offering brands to engage consumers in your physical retail locations?
Yeah. So we have a lot of really great products. We start, anywhere from storefront signage to digital screens. We've got, shelf at shelf. We have at the point of purchase. But another really exciting piece and element to our offering is this larger experiential part, where we're able to partner with the actual airports. We have these large spaces where brands can come in. And this is kind of where that kind of bringing the fun back into travel retail comes in, where, really the sky's the limit on how we kind of make your brand come to life in these spaces. And then we also have, lots of digital out of home screens as we partner with some third-party partners. So a lot of different ways to reach the travel customer.
You're not a one-trick pony. You've got a lot of different experiential solutions to help brands however they're seeking to engage with consumers. That sounds certainly very interesting and very intriguing. A follow-up question to that, what types of brand advertisers do you see the most success when partnering with WHSmith Media Network? It's not all about endemic advertising brands that you're selling in your stores, is it?
It's not. WHSmith, the actual brands that are in their stores span multiple categories, right? So you have food and beverage, you have health and beauty, you've got tech and travel, and even fashion. And so those brands are obviously brands that we're already partnering with and are going to see really great results from our network. But the interesting thing about WHSmith spanning across all the different airports and just that really high level of, over 900 million people that are traveling through airports, they're almost this really large digital out-of-home network, which creates this really interesting opportunity for non-endemic partners to come in and get in front of all of these travelers. And we're really excited to start to kind of measure what does that mean for those types of non-endemic advertisers from just a halo effect, right? Just the awareness and the consideration that could come from partnering with WHS Media.
All right. So any recent success stories of brands leveraging your media network effectively that you'd care to call out?
Yeah, we actually did. So one of the fun things about travel is all of the events that are kind of really travel focused. So we're in the process right now of planning for like Formula One out in Las Vegas. And so there's all these different events that we can kind of tag onto, obviously one of them being the Super Bowl. And so in February, we partnered with Pepsi. They wanted to drive purchase of two products, so Mountain Dew Baja Blast and then Doritos Golden Sriracha, which is one of their newer flavors. And so they partnered with us across our digital screen network and had a very, engaging and creative Super Bowl creative. Obviously, Pepsi's been a partner of the Super Bowl for a long time. So we were able to leverage that in our creative. And we saw an over 10% incremental lift from that campaign. So really exciting.
That's terrific numbers. So how does a brand get started? Like, what advice would you give to companies looking to create a meaningful customer experience through the platform you've created? How do you get started? How do you develop it? How do you make it the most compelling result possible?
We really want to partner with the brands, really understand what they're trying to drive, what their objectives are, so that we can put a really strategic end-to-end solution together for them. But on top of that, I would really encourage the brands that we partner with to think really big, right? Like we can do so much from an experiential perspective to, driving awareness and consideration and be able to measure every part of the funnel for them. So I think really the sky's the limit. We're open to any sort of fun, big, exciting activations that brands can think of. And we also have an amazing team at SMG that has all these exciting, creative, and strategic ideas that we can leverage for all of our brand partners too. So it's really just all about partnering together and figuring out what the best way to reach their target customer is.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about measurement, because I think we both know for brands to invest in retail media, getting a measurement aspect for performance is critically important in this day and age. So what are you doing to offer meaningful measurement of your campaigns to your brand advertisers?
I think that the most important part of measurement is always going to be focusing on incrementality. And that's how we want to look at every single campaign. So we're looking at it at a store level, right? So we're making sure that we are grouping like stores together. We're pulling a control and exposed together. And then we're making sure that we look at that incremental lift, isolating what media was running and making sure that we're showing how effective that was, so that we can use that not only to tell the brand how a previous campaign performed, but to also help them plan, more effective future campaigns.
And I have to imagine that given that this is travel retail, that the margin appeal of this channel to most of your endemic advertisers is fairly strong. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Brandon, just pause a second. What I wanted to ask you was, travel retail is a high margin business for brands. And that's what I was trying to get at.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like how they're selling their product for like more.
I was saying so if they can get incrementality in a high margin business, it's particularly appealing.
Gotcha. Sorry. Yeah, I wasn't following for a second.
So Alison, I've got to imagine what makes incrementality particularly appealing in this channel is that above many other channels, it's a higher margin that brands are realizing. Would that be a safe assumption on my part?
Yeah, 100%. It's just makes WHSmith a very lucrative media network for brands to partner with, because the results that they're going to see are going to drive even more incrementality for their brand than, say, another channel like in grocery.
Brilliant. So, Alison, how do brands get in contact with WHSmith Media Network to start these conversations? What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, just reach out to hello@whsmedia.team. That will go to the entire team. We have specialists that are assigned to each vertical that can meet with you and make sure that we put together the most strategic and fun recommendation.
All right. We're going to include that in the liner notes of this episode. Alison, always a pleasure to spend time with you. Thanks for taking time out of your day to introduce us to this fascinating new media channel for brand advertisers. This is great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So that was a great conversation with our friend Alison O'Keefe. She gave us an overview of the media network that's been created in the 350 plus WHSmith stores that are found primarily in destination hubs. I think if you're an endemic or non-endemic brand and looking to drive some incrementality in a very margin-rich channel, this could be a valuable platform for you to invest against. Again, I'd recommend you check the liner notes for how to connect with Alison and the team at WHSmith North America Retail Media Network. As for us, I want to remind you, please follow us on your favorite podcast platform if you think you have something to contribute to the conversation and maybe you can appear on this podcast. Reach out to us at contact@cpgguys.com. Sorry Shri wasn't able to join this week. We look forward to speaking with you on the next episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Goodbye. The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys, LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys, LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.